Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the fascinating and, let's be honest, sometimes tricky world of French conversation. We are going to completely level up your language skills today. We'll start from the ground up with basic French pleasantries and build our way all the way to mastering those notoriously tricky conversational time markers that always seem to trip up beginners. If you're someone who loves grasping concepts through clear, structured examples, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's jump in. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover saying hello like a pro, introducing your authentic self, mastering French time markers, the rule of Depuis, and finally, putting it all together. First up, say hello like a pro. Picture this. You're stepping into a brand new office in a French-speaking city. What's the very first hurdle? Navigating the whole formal versus casual divide. For your absolute formal staples, you've got bonjour for good day and bonsoir for good evening. Pretty standard, right? But for those casual everyday interactions at the coffee machine, you'll use phrases like salut, which is just a friendly hi, or bon matin. Now, what's actually super interesting about bon matin is that it's a total Anglicism. It's a direct translation of the English good morning. So while you might not find it in a strict, dusty grammar textbook, it's incredibly popular in everyday spoken French, especially in places like Quebec. Okay, so you've said hello. Now what? Well, you want to keep that polite momentum going. You can toss out a quick comment vas-tu for how are you, and easily reply with ça va bien, but here's the real golden ticket for when you're meeting someone for the very first time. Enchanté. It simply means nice to meet you, and it works like a charm. If you really want to impress, though, and sound incredibly polished, you can expand that to je suis ravi de faire votre connaissance, meaning I am delighted to make your acquaintance. Moving right along to section 2, introducing your authentic self. The pleasantries are out of the way, which is awesome. Now it's time to actually tell them who you are. For your name, je m'appelle is the classic go-to, but you can also casually just say moi c'est, followed by your name. Now listen closely because this is a massive grammatical trap. Unlike English, French uses the verb to have for age. You absolutely have to say j'ai 40 ans, which literally translates to I have 40 years. Do not say I am 40. Then you can easily state your origin with je suis plus your nationality and your profession like je suis ingénieur, meaning I am an engineer. Naturally, you're going to want to talk about what you do for fun, but watch out here, because French doesn't really have a direct equivalent to the English phrase I love when you're talking about inanimate objects. So you use j'aime for simply liking things like sports. But when something is your absolute passion, say you're a huge movie buff, you step it up and say j'adore le cinéma. It just adds that perfect extra layer of authentic enthusiasm. All right, section 3, mastering French time markers. Now for the main event, time markers. These little words are absolutely crucial for telling stories and explaining when things actually happened. Our very first one is il y a. In this specific context, it translates roughly to ago. It indicates an action that is completely 100% finished in the past, and it tells us the exact amount of time that has passed between that event and right now. To put this into perspective, imagine a new accountant, let's call her Marie, arriving at the office. She tells her new coworker Paul, je suis arrivée il y a 1 heure. Boom. This places her arrival exactly 1 hour in the past. The action of arriving is done and dusted, and exactly 60 minutes sit between that action and the present moment. Make sense? Next up, we've got a slightly chunkier phrase, ça fait que. Think of this kind of like the present perfect tense in English. It points to an action that started in the past but is still happening in the present. Now, the golden grammatical rule you have to remember here is that this phrase must be used at the very beginning of your sentence. So for instance, if you started hitting the books 2 hours ago and you are literally still studying right now, you'd say ça fait 2 heures que j'étudie. It literally translates to it makes 2 hours that I am studying. You just sandwich the duration of time right between ça fait and que, and you drop the whole thing right at the front of your thought. Section 4, the rule of Depuis. Listen, this is the time marker you are going to hear literally all the time in everyday French. Depuis basically means since or for. It's a direct synonym for ça fait que, meaning it also describes an action that started in the past and continues today. But here is the secret weapon with depuis. It gives you total flexibility. You can throw it at the beginning of your sentence or you can tack it right onto the end. Going back to our office scenario for a second, Paul, the sales manager, says, Je travaille ici depuis 3 ans, meaning his employment started 3 years ago and he's still clocking in today. Because depuis is so incredibly flexible, Paul could have just as easily flipped the whole sentence around and said, Depuis 3 ans je travaille ici. Now, what happens if we just tack on the word que to make depuis que? Well, this variation is your go-to for linking two actions together in time. It introduces a phrase that shows a clear cause and effect relationship, or it shows two things that have been happening simultaneously since a specific starting point. Imagine, heaven forbid, you broke your wrist. You would say, Depuis que j'ai un plâtre, j'ai de la difficulté à écrire. So, ever since the exact moment that cast went on your arm, struggling to write has been an ongoing reality. The first action, getting the cast, is directly causing the second action, the difficulty writing. Let's break down the ultimate mental cheat sheet for these markers. There's a really clear pattern here. Any time marker ending in the word que, so we're talking about ça fait que and depuis que, absolutely demands the whole shebang, a full sentence with a subject pronoun and a verb right after it. However, the simpler ones, il y a and depuis, just require a basic noun or a chunk of time, like 5 years or yesterday. That little word que is your massive glaring signal that a full clause is coming. Finally, section 5, putting it all together. All right, you've gathered all the conversational building blocks, so let's actually see them in action. Check out this quick intro from a 15-year-old student named Thomas. Notice how seamlessly he ties everything together. He kicks off with the formal bonjour, introduces himself with je m'appelle, and then expertly drops in that depuis time marker to say, Depuis un mois, je fais aussi de la course à pied, which means for the past month he's also been running. Time for a quick pop quiz to test your comprehension. Based on his introduction that we just went over, what year of school is Thomas currently in? Do you remember? If you guessed his 3rd year of high school or troisième année du secondaire, you nailed it. And hey, bonus points if you were paying super close attention and caught that he describes himself as grand et costaud, which is a great way of saying tall and sturdy, obviously perfect for his favorite sport, hockey. You now have the absolute fundamental tools to navigate French introductions and start telling your own stories with confidence. You know how to greet people, introduce your passions, and pinpoint exactly when things happen. But before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a challenge. Look at your own life, right now, today. How will you use il y a, depuis, or ça fait que to describe your day? Think about it, structure it in your head, and whatever you do, keep practicing.
Catch you next time.